First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for leaving my husband in the grocery store because he started acting like a toddler? We all go through phases and pick up annoying habits, and sometimes we just need our loved ones to gently tell us if we've picked up a particularly egregious habit. Sometime in the last year, my husband has picked up a habit where he talks like a baby. At first, it was funny, but passed into embarrassing, cringe-worthy behavior quickly. Examples: doggo, pupper, woofer/subwoofer, pibble, hooty boy, beepo, burb, meow meow, sammy, sandwiches, sammy whammy, chicky nuggies, chicky tendies, adding a toddleresque lisp to words. And the ones that really get gross are childish euphemisms for genitalia or sex. I cannot emphasize this enough. It is not endearing or sexy to have my husband talk about my BBs, and his winner and weenie and wee-wee, hoo-has and bajingos. Nostalgia for scrubs be damned. We have not been intimate for 6 months because he cannot stop talking about my BBs, and it makes me sick. Just before the pandemic hit, we were out at a restaurant with some friends. He actually ordered a chicky Sammy, said the exact phrase. Chicky Sammy. Look, it's totally fine that he ordered a chicken sandwich. That's not the issue. Our friends noticed the baby talk because he insisted on continuing the joke, and even started talking with his god-awful toddler lilt accent. After that, I just couldn't stomach the idea of going out with him to adult places. I go out to the brewery with friends, but God forbid he join me and say, "Me wants another beer," or something. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why he's doing this. I finally hit my limit when we were grocery shopping, and everything seemed normal and fine, until he gasped like a kid, ran to the ice cream section, and jumped up and down yelling, ice cream, I want chocolate." I was mortified. People were staring at him and me. He kept going and kept saying, "Can we get popsicos?" And I just said, "Either talk to me like an adult or I'm leaving." He started saying, "Ooh, you must be fun at parties," and "Lighten up, will you?" and stuff like that. I just said hell it and left the store, leaving him to walk home. Like a mile. It was fine, because I couldn't even look at him. Since then, things have been very tense, and he keeps telling me that he wants an apology for embarrassing him by leaving him in the store. I told him that people don't get to demand apologies. If someone wants to apologize, it's up to them. And I am absolutely not going to apologize for saving myself the embarrassment of a 35-year-old man with a mortgage and retirement account asking for chocolate ice cream. He got his freaking mom involved. No joke. She keeps telling me it's just a phase and that he's probably bored, and I should be happy this is his midlife crisis, rather than him sleeping with 19-year-olds at the local bar. I'm going crazy. Am I the a-hole? Do I really just need to let my husband continuously embarrass me like this? Edit. Sorry, there was only so much space. I have talked to him. Multiple times. Especially about the actual comments. I've made it extremely abundantly clear that him using terms like BBs and wee-wee are absolutely repulsive to me, among other things he says. Info, does he have a job? Yes, and he acts completely normal as far as I know. He worked from home for a while during lockdown, and I never heard him talk like this to anyone he worked with. Does he do it with friends? Sometimes, and it's generally meant to annoy them or gross them out, but he stops. He has friends where they think it's cute to embarrass each other. Is this a kink/fetish? If so, I'm absolutely done. Has he seen a doctor? No, but I've asked him if he needed to talk to someone because he was acting strange, and he accused me of being stuck up and judgmental. Given that he doesn't act like this with his coworkers or his family and only jokes around with his friends, I'm willing to bet that this is an indication that he's trying to force this fetish on me non-consensually or trying to get me to leave. Is it a tumor? I don't know. Like I said above, I asked him if he needed to see someone. I can't force him, even if I want to, just find out if there's any way we can salvage this. But after this post closes, I will try to get him to. Maybe his sister can encourage him, even though he acts completely normal around them. Does he have childhood trauma? As far as I know, and I am relatively close to his family and would likely know, the most traumatic thing he had happened was a minor car accident when he was around 13 years old. No injuries, no death, etc. He hasn't been in a car accident in the past 2 years or anything like that, and I haven't. And as far as I know, no one else in his family has been, etc. Now for the top comments. Not day-hall. I'd sit him down and have a serious heart-to-heart. I did not marry a toddler. I married an adult partner to build a life with. I have told you repeatedly that this is not a joke. I find it annoying. And whatever other adjectives you'd like. And it has caused me to lose all physical attraction to you. And not having intimacy for 6 months is a problem. And instead of modifying your behavior and trying to respect my feelings, you bring in your mother to our relationship to justify your actions. If you are truly a little boy who wants his mommy, you can pack up your stuff and leave with her. If you are interested in saving this marriage, you will not only go to a regular doctor for a checkup to make sure there isn't some underlying medical condition for this change in behavior. You will start marriage counseling with me immediately. So, if this behavior is in response to some subconscious need you are not having met, we can figure it out together. These are your options. Fight for our marriage as an adult, or be a child that's not old enough for any sort of meaningful relationship and go live with your mother. Encourage him to go to the doctor. With a sudden change in his behavior, you're continuing talks to him about it, and 6 months without action, and he still hasn't admitted there's a problem. He needs to get checked out. There might be something serious medically going on. Not day-hall, but he got his mommy involved. So tell her she is welcome to take her toddler shopping while he screams for, "Ice cream, ice cream, I want chocolate." Not to bring him back till she has raised him back to adulthood. Edit. Also, I would suggest that a doctor's visit may also be appropriate, if this is in any way non-voluntary, because it may be linked to some kind of cognitive issue. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole? I almost died at work today, and my wife is angry I didn't ask about her day when I got home. I had an accident where I lost control of an elevated work platform, EWP, on dangerous terrain whilst working today. The EWP slid down the hill, did a 180-degree turn through a row of trees whilst I was elevated at approximately 5 meters. It was harrowing, and I was left shocked as it happened very quickly and felt like I was going to tip the machine. On return home, I had a shot, one, of vodka to steady my nerves and told my wife. She was cooking dinner and said some conciliatory things when I told her about the incident and asked if I was going to keep working this job. She then asked me to move out of the kitchen while she cooked. I got visibly upset, and then she said, "Well, you haven't asked me about my day." I had to look after our daughter all day. We're in lockdown for COVID and not allowed to leave the house at the moment. She then told me to look after our daughter who was having a tantrum. She since doubled down on her position and said she had exciting news that she now wasn't going to tell me. I said that was her decision. I'm angry that it doesn't seem like she cares that I almost died, and I don't think me being impolite and not asking her about her day is significant in this context. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Her priorities are whack. Oh yeah, you almost died at work, honey? Why do you have to make everything about yourself? You selfish hubby. Want to know how my day went? Kid, had a tantrum again. So hard. And you never ask how my day went. This is a surreal experience. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. She maybe didn't understand the severity of the situation? I guess that's possible. I explained it to her in detail, and I'm sure I used the phrase "almost died" in our second conversation though. I also said I felt like she didn't care if I died, and she actually didn't contradict it in the heat of the moment. Even if she didn't understand initially, I promise you, by the time she decided to hold back on sharing her news, she did. She could have apologized when she saw how hurt you were by her callousness. She chose to double down to hurt you further. She flipped the script on you. She slipped up by being uncaring. When you pointed that out, she said, "Well, you're impolite," to imply that you are uncaring too. But your event obviously trumps hers. You almost died. Trauma versus something she does every day. So very manipulative of her. But then she punishes you by withholding exciting news which presumably concerns your child. So you end up begging her forgiveness, and you forget just how little she cares because you are overwhelmed by your desire to hear about your daughter. Again, manipulation. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to have my ex's stepdaughter some weekends? I, 32 female, have an 11-year-old daughter with my ex. We divorced 2 years ago because he cheated. He is now with the other woman and is married to her. She has a daughter who will be 11 soon. X's mother-in-law is sick, and his wife has been going to stay some weekends to take care of her. X works weekends, nights usually, and he asked me if I would take his stepdaughter those weekends his wife is gone. He framed it as being more time for the girls to bond. I said no. He called it unfair because I gave it no consideration. I told him I didn't need to consider it and that my answer was no. He said our daughter might say she wants it if I ask her, and that they would throw me some cash for it. Eventually, after I came down hard on my no, he said the reason he wants me to do it is our daughter has chosen not to have a close relationship with his stepdaughter, and he thinks my interacting with her and welcoming her into my home would cultivate our daughter's willingness. I asked him, was she mean or rude to the girl? He said no reluctantly, and I told him that was all I was willing to interfere in, and I am not responsible for cultivating our daughter's relationship with his stepdaughter. I told him the discussion was over. He and his wife are pissed about my refusal and say I would be helping them out while they're in need. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take her on occasional weekends? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You're not responsible to care for the child of the woman that literally played a hand in breaking up your marriage. Also, if your daughter doesn't like her stepsister, guaranteed there's a valid reason for it. If your ex-husband is so worried about them not bonding, maybe he should look into the reason why his daughter isn't a fan of his stepdaughter. Maybe figure out if some stuff is going down behind closed doors. Edit to add, many things fall under the valid reason category, not just the stepsister being a jerk like I suggested in one reply. So y'all need to chill out with your maybe they just don't have anything in common, or they're just resentful of the situation. Because both of those, as well as the possibility the stepsister maybe isn't the nicest, all fall under the valid reason category. Not your problem. Also, you have no reason to believe his story about the girls needing quality time. Is that true? Or are he and his new wife looking for a cheap/free babysitter? I think it's both, personally. Not the a-hole at all. Your daughter needs one-on-one time with her mom. It's just fair if she's asked to split her time with you with this girl, particularly if she does not like her. She's an individual. They are not a package deal just because their parents are married. Your ex is only asking this to convenience him. You need to do what is best for your daughter. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad the reason I decided to stay with my mom? I, 15 female, chose at the start of lockdown to use that as an excuse to stay with my mom and change custody from every other week with each parent to living full-time with her. My dad wasn't happy with me at the time but let it go, until things got better, and then he was upset I didn't want to go to his house. And when he threatened to take it to court, I told him I would tell the judge this is what I want. He asked me why several times, and I would refuse to tell him. Until a month ago when I just said screw it and told him. I said I liked having my own room there and hated sharing with 2 other people at his house, and his wife always annoyed me by expecting me to take on bigger responsibilities than she expected of her daughter. I told him I preferred being an only child in the home and not dealing with the chaos of a blended family. He asked me why I never told him, but I did. He just didn't listen. He said it made sense for his wife to ask me to cook one family meal a week when I cook and her daughter doesn't. But that crap is frustrating, and it made cooking a chore versus something fun, which I know it can be in real life, but I always enjoyed it before the expectation was put on me. My dad was pissed after I told him. He said I was basically rejecting my family. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. He said it made sense for his wife to ask me to cook one family meal a week when I cook and her daughter doesn't. You didn't cook either, until you did. Everyone has to learn sometime. He doesn't get to make you do more than the equivalent in the home and then be shocked when you don't want to be there. Not the a-hole. You're not rejecting your family, you're rejecting his family and a one-sided dynamic. Not the a-hole. Blended families are difficult. It's the parents' job to make sure the kids are happy and comfortable on both sides. If the stepmom is giving you more chores/work than her kids, then it's your father's job to step in and equal it out. I would say to give your dad a chance to fix these things though, and to understand your feelings of the other children being favored over you. Not the a-hole. I'm by no means a perfect parent myself, but the least you could do is take time to reevaluate things before they escalate to where they are right now, with you not wanting to live under his roof or even visit his home. Yeah, I feel for him not being able to see you at all, but he did it to himself. Hoping this time he listens. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for laughing in my sister-in-law's face when she DNA tested my daughter? I, 30 male, have a daughter who is 6. I am not biologically related to her at all. There is no blood relation between us. I was friends with her mother for most all of my childhood. We were never involved romantically and were always just friends. She had her daughter at 23 with her 25-year-old husband. When my daughter was a newborn, about 3 months technically, both her mother and father were killed. I won't go into too much detail for privacy reasons, but it was workplace shooting. A friend and her husband had worked in the same building and were both killed. Both my friend and her husband had grown up with less than ideal families and didn't have any siblings, so there wasn't any next of kin for their daughter to go to. However, because I was close with them, I was able to adopt her. Even though I had been iffy about the idea of kids, I didn't want their daughter to grow up in foster care or around people who didn't have a connection to her bio parents, so I stepped in. My parents and siblings know that my daughter is not my actual daughter biologically speaking. My daughter, I'll call Lily for the post, also knows that she's adopted. I never really hid the fact that she was adopted. She knows her parents are gone and were killed by a bad man, but I'm saving the details for when she's older. Lily does not look like me at all. She looks exactly like her mother and biological dad. Most people assume that I'm her bio dad and that she just took after her mom. I don't ever really correct this when and if people assume this because it just seems unnecessary. My brother has been with his fiancée for about 2 years now. A few weeks ago, we were all meeting up at my parents' house, and my sister-in-law saw an old picture of me, my friend, and her husband. She pointed to my friend and asked who she was, and I explained that she was Lily's mother. Sister-in-law got quiet and stood in front of the picture for a while. I didn't think much of it. To clarify, she knows my friend died, but I guess didn't know that she had been married or that Lily is not my bio daughter. I suppose she assumed my daughter was mine and my friend's biological daughter. My sister-in-law got a DNA test done on my daughter behind my back. She used my brother's DNA for the test, and when it came back that they weren't related, she knew that meant me and Lily weren't related. She came up to me with the results and waved them in my face, saying that I was taking care of a dead woman's affair baby. She said this to me in front of my daughter. I just stared at her for a while before bursting out laughing at this. I told her I knew Lily wasn't my biological daughter and that this thing called adoption exists. Her face went red and she stormed off. My brother is mad I embarrassed his fiancée, but I said she embarrassed herself by DNA testing a kid that isn't hers and then parading the results up to me. What did she want me to do? What was her goal with this? Did she want me to break down and abandon my daughter? My brother said she thought she was doing the right thing and called me an a-hole. I don't feel like the a-hole, especially considering my sister-in-law was the one who stuck her nose where it doesn't belong. I'm asking for Reddit opinions, mostly just for validation. So was I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Saying that I was taking care of a dead woman's affair baby. Did she not understand that the photo she saw was of the dead woman and her husband? Did she assume you were somehow married to the dead woman? Aren't you presently married to your very much alive wife? Literally, all this could have been avoided if she asked, or if you shared. Those are my daughter's bio parents, who sadly passed away. We were good friends, so I adopted their daughter. You shouldn't have to tell people things or correct them every time, but it can help when you do. I can see how she assumed that we were together. In a picture, I had my arm around her shoulders. This was before my friend was married to her husband. At the time that picture was taken, they were just friends. Not the a-hole. She wanted to stir some stuff up. That's a heck of a lot of effort to help. Also, I'd be mad about how she got Lily's DNA to do this. It didn't go the way she thought it would, so she got mad. Your brother is just trying to side with his soon-to-be wife. Also be ticked she revealed the truth in front of Lily. She deliberately tried to hurt the child.
That's what get me the most. What if Lily hadn't known she was adopted? Heck, what if Lily had been conceived with a sperm donor? There are so many reasons that this was none of that woman's business, and she stuck her nose into it in the worst way possible by waving the results around in front of people. She could have talked to her fiancé first, but must not have because Opie says his siblings know she's adopted. Instead of his brother being mad at Opie, he should be mad as heck at his fiancé. This would also ruin all credibility that woman has with me for anything. Anytime she brings something up, I would from now forward think she's being aforementioned drama cauldron or just making up stories she's decided must be shared as the gospel truth. I need to add this. She did this in front of your daughter to maximize the damage she thought she was exposing. That is straight up evil. Opie is the least not the a-hole ever. Fiancé must be very young and still in high school mentality, but with adult resources. Who bring information like this up to everyone? She wanted a scene and she got one. High school mentality but with adult resources. This is a great phrase. I'm glad I learned this one today. Now for the first update. My sister-in-law ended up coming to my house and apologizing, as well as telling me the full story. My brother put her up to the DNA test. When I first adopted Lily, my brother for some reason believed that Lily was my bio daughter. He thought that me and Lily's mom were together and just weren't telling anyone. He believes that when she got pregnant, Lily's mom told me that Lily was mine and that she was going to just say that it was her husband's, and I went along with it because I didn't really want kids. Sister-in-law was under the impression I believed I was Lily's bio dad. She saw the picture of Lily's mom and I, and after asking for clarification on who she was, assumed we were together in it, and then got suspicious when she saw that the other guy in the picture, Lily's actual bio dad, looked a lot like Lily. I also want to clarify, I didn't tell her that Lily's bio dad was in the picture because she had specifically pointed to Lily's mom, and I assumed she knew that Lily was adopted. I didn't know my brother had been telling her lies for nearly 2 years. She got the DNA test out of her own suspicions, and my brother helped her with it because he thought it would reveal that I was actually Lily's bio dad. He manipulated her into thinking that it would clear the air of suspicion, when really, he was just trying to prove that I was really Lily's bio dad and lying about the reasons for adoption. Well, of course the results proved I wasn't Lily's bio dad, and my brother was wrong. My brother felt too embarrassed to confess to his fiancée that he had lied about the circumstances, which is why sister-in-law confronted me with the results. My sister-in-law also apologized for showing me the results in front of my daughter. She told me that her mom had an affair and cheated on her father, got pregnant with another man's kid, and had let her father believe the kid was his. Her father was devastated by this when he found out, and she grew very resentful of women who do that to their spouses. She had wanted to sit me down and talk to me about it with my daughter, but when she saw me with my daughter, she got angry thinking I was being led on to believe I was raising my daughter when I was actually raising another man's kid, and she ended up exploding and immediately waved the results in my face. My sister-in-law does feel very guilty, and she's angry at my brother for lying to her. I'm not angry at her for doing the test because she thought she was doing the right thing. I also forgave her for the way she told me about the results because clearly affairs are a sensitive subject for her, and I can understand why she would have exploded like that. I'm pretty sure she plans to break up with my brother now, and I don't blame her. When I called and asked my brother about this, he admitted it. When I asked why he would think this, he said that he couldn't think of a reason why a man who had been against having kids at a time would willingly adopt a baby without having a blood connection to it. He told sister-in-law that I was Lily's bio dad and was aware of the fact. He took it a step further and said that me and Lily's mom were together at the time of Lily's conception. Both me and my parents are going low contact with my brother for a while now. I know I will forgive my brother eventually, but I can't do that right now. He believed I was low enough to have an affair with a married woman, get her pregnant, take no responsibility, allow her to pass off the kid as another man's, and then only take responsibility because her mom died. Both your brother and sister-in-law are getting off too lightly. He butted into your family and lied to his wife. And sensitive issue or not, she still violated your daughter's privacy, then called her an affair child derisively in front of her. Yeah, for real. His daughter is hurt by this, not Opie. Opie has every right to slap his brother at Christmas. slap, and press charges because they did not have authorization from the minor's parent to harvest the minor's DNA. OP, your a-hole brother called your child it. How in the heck is this forgivable? Why just low contact? Some people were saying I should sue and/or press charges on her. I don't want to do that. She was manipulated into doing this, and I don't want to deal with the hassle. I honestly just want to put this whole thing behind me and move on. When I asked why he would think this, he said that he couldn't think of a reason why a man who had been against having kids at a time would willingly adopt a baby without having a blood connection to it. Your brother really showing his whole ass here. Your brother was both a terrible sibling and partner. He riled up his fiancée based on her trauma in order to enlist her to help in deceiving you. Awful. I really want to stress this point. Took the words right out of my mouth. I'm not mad at my sister-in-law because I know she was manipulated into doing this by my brother. I wish more people could understand that. You're a bigger person than I am. Everything is on your brother except for the crude announcement in front of the 6-year-old. You're all Lily has a parent. Your smooth reaction is the only thing that stopped sister-in-law's actions from being devastating. Second update. Some people were wondering what happened with my brother and sister-in-law. Well, she dumped him. They tried to make it work, but that only lasted a few days and she ended up giving him the ring back. My brother got face drunk on my front lawn in the middle of the night. I was angry because Lily had school the next morning and this woke her up. My brother was yelling insults to both me and my daughter. We called police and he spent the night in jail for drunken disturbance. I believe the official charge was something like that. I sure as heck pressed charges because he was saying some borderline threatening statements to me and my daughter. I don't think it's enough to qualify for a restraining order, but if it is, I'll get a temporary one. On a more positive note, Lily is doing well. She's getting straight A's in every subject and is excited about her first ever science project. She's been talking my ear off about it. Send help. Lol. Last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my son out of our house? So here's the deal. My 23-year-old son got lucky with some money, about $200,000 from a windfall, and since then, he's been coasting. He doesn't have a job, doesn't even try to get one, and worst of all, refuses to contribute to anything around the house. We're talking bills, groceries, even basic stuff like helping with chores. He just sits around all day playing video games or hanging out with his friends, and anytime I bring up the idea of pitching in, he just brushes me off with some excuse about how he's figuring things out. I've given him more than enough chances to step up. I ask him to at least pay some rent or cover his own food expenses, but he straight up refused. I'm not asking for much, just a little bit of responsibility, since he's living under my roof rent-free. I try to have a calm conversation about how things need to change, but he got defensive, saying that it's his money and he can do what he wants with it. I don't want to sound greedy, but it's not fair that I'm still paying for everything while he's sitting on a small fortune. After months of this back and forth, I finally told him he needed to start contributing or find somewhere else to live. He thought I was bluffing, but when he still refused, I packed up his stuff and told him to go. Now he's crashing at a friend's place and telling everyone I'm being unreasonable and unsupportive. Some family members are saying I should have just let it go, since he's young and has money, but I feel like he's taking advantage of me. I just want him to act like an adult and not mooch off me forever. So am I the a-hole for kicking him out? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your son is taking advantage of you. He would have continued. Sometimes you gotta baby bird kids out of house. He's 23. He's not a child. He's young, but if he thinks he's adult enough to stiff his landlord, he deserves the wake-up call. It's his money. He can spend it on what he wants. If he wants to sleep on couches and have no home, but have $200 in the bank, he's an adult. Let him. He will figure it out, but he's gonna figure it out on his time. No reason to continue wasting yours while he catches up to reality. I would have booted him, and as my mom always said and as I tell my stepkids, I'm your parent and I will always love you no matter what. But sometimes I don't like who you choose to be. My mom tells all of us the same thing. Hers is, I love you but I don't like you right now. This was literally part of my vows with my husband. I vowed to always love him, as love is an active choice. I knew there would be times I wouldn't like him, and those are rare, but they happen. You are not the a-hole. Your son is an adult and needs to take responsibility. You were more than generous to allow him to live rent-free and contribute nothing. It's your house and your rules, and he needs to respect that. I've seen more 23-year-olds than I care to admit display impeccable and yet radical decision-making abilities. He shouldn't be any different, and anyone trying to steer him towards the direction of that possibility isn't an a-hole. Not a-hole. You did not kick out somebody who was going to be broke and homeless. He has the financial means to take care of himself. He is a whole grown-up now, and he can provide for himself. It is not your job to endlessly cover his living expenses while he has fun money. The money will run out, and when it does, it would encourage you to not let him move back in. He has more than enough funds to start and maintain his adult life while he finds himself.